The room went silent the moment she snapped her fingers and pointed at him, a janitor holding a mop with trembling hands, standing alone under bright stage lights meant for stars, not shadows. Laughter had already begun to ripple through the crowd before a single note was sung, because everyone could see what she wanted them to see, a man out of place, humiliated, exposed. She believed this would be the moment he broke, the moment everyone learned that some people were meant to clean floors, not touch dreams. What no one knew was that this would be the night her pride cracked and a forgotten soul reminded the world what grace truly sounded like. Before the story goes deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of the human spirit, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that may need them most. The janitor's name was Elias, though few people ever bothered to learn it. He worked nights in a prestigious music academy, sweeping marble floors that echoed with applause during the day. Every evening, after the halls emptied and the last piano lid was closed, Elias would pause his cart beside the grand stage. He never stepped onto it, never dared. He would simply stand there, listening to the memory of music still hanging in the air, letting it fill spaces in his chest he rarely spoke about. Music had once been his life, before life demanded survival instead of songs. Years ago, when illness swallowed his family savings and grief rearranged his world, he traded auditions for uniforms and applause for a paycheck. He told himself it was temporary, but temporary turned into years. She was the Academy's brightest star, a celebrated soprano whose voice dazzled crowds and whose ego filled every room before her presence did. Applause followed her like perfume, and power followed applause. That night, after a rehearsal went wrong and frustration burned hot inside her, she noticed Elias standing near the stage, still and quiet as always. Something about his stillness annoyed her, as if his calm mocked her perfectionism. When she asked what he was doing there, he simply lowered his eyes and continued working. That humility, mistaken for weakness, became her fuel. In front of students, staff, and donors, she decided to make an example out of him. She forced him onto the stage, demanding he sing solo, certain his failure would amuse everyone and restore her sense of control. Elias felt the weight of hundreds of eyes pressing down on him. His hands shook, not from fear alone, but from the memories rushing back without permission. The smell of polished wood reminded him of his first recital. The lights blinded him the same way they once had when his parents sat proudly in the front row. He wanted to run. He wanted to disappear into the floor he had cleaned so carefully. But something inside him, fragile and brave, refused to bow that night. He took a breath, deeper than he had in years, and let it steady his heart. When he began to sing, the room changed. Not instantly, not loudly, but gently, like dawn creeping into darkness. His voice was not flashy or sharp. It was rich, layered with years of love, loss, and endurance. Each note carried weight, not perfection, but truth. The laughter died first, then the whispers. People leaned forward without realizing it, as if pulled by an invisible thread. His voice moved through sorrow and hope, through broken dreams and quiet resilience. It was the kind of singing that did not demand attention but earned it, the kind that reached places technique alone never could. As the song rose, even she felt it, though she fought against it. The notes he sang were ones she had practiced endlessly but never fully reached, not because of skill, but because her life had never demanded that depth. His voice cracked in places, not from weakness, but from honesty. And in those cracks, the audience found themselves reflected. Cheers slid down faces that had come expecting entertainment, not awakening. By the time Elias finished, the silence returned, but it was no longer cruel. It was reverent. Applause followed, hesitant at first, then thunderous, filling the hall until even the walls seemed to breathe again. Elias stood frozen, unsure if it was meant for him. He bowed slightly, more out of habit than confidence, and stepped back, ready to disappear once more. But something had already shifted. People saw him now, not as a janitor pretending to sing, but as an artist who had survived silence. She did not applaud. Her hands remained still as her world tilted. For the first time, she felt small, not because he humiliated her, but because he exposed something she had avoided her entire life. She had chased perfection, not meaning. That night, She left the stage early, applause echoing behind her like a question she could no longer ignore. Elias returned to his work the next day, unsure if anything had truly changed. But whispers followed him, kinder ones. Students smiled. A professor stopped him, eyes bright with recognition, and asked where he had trained. Doors that had been closed for years began to open, slowly, cautiously. Elias did not rush through them. He took each step with gratitude, carrying his mop and his music with equal respect. He understood now that dignity was not granted by titles, but by the courage to remain true to oneself, even when the world laughs. As the story comes close to its end, if this journey moved you, if Elias's courage and quiet strength touched your heart, please like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to support stories that celebrate humanity and hope. Before the final moment, we have a special request. Please comment below with the words, "I believe in hidden greatness," if this story reminded you that talent and worth are often found where no one thinks to look. Elias would sing again, on stages that welcomed him, but that night would always remain his most powerful performance. Not because of the applause, but because he reclaimed a piece of himself he thought was lost forever. And somewhere deep inside the hearts of those who listened, a simple truth settled gently and stayed. Never measure a soul by the uniform it wears, because sometimes the quietest voices carry the most beautiful songs.